I would like, in the time we have, to talk about U.S.-European Union relations and the role that the Hungarian presidency can play in strengthening our cooperation over the next 6 months. As much as anything, I'm here to hear from you. So I will give a brief address, but be very much interested in your reactions and your thoughts. It's a particularly opportune time to be talking about U.S.-European Union relations. Of course, at the beginning of the month, Hungary assumed the rotating presidency of the Council of the European Union. And I think the fact that Hungary's assumption of that role seems such a normal development to us really tells us a lot about the profound transformation of Hungary and its relationship with Europe over the past 20 years. Stable democracies in this region have replaced communist dictatorships. Free markets and the free movement of goods and people have dramatically increased the quality of life for all people in the region over the past 20 years. Central and Eastern Europe today is firmly anchored in the Euro-Atlantic community, the Euro-Atlantic system of institutions, and contributes to global security. Certainly Hungary's contribution to Afghanistan and other international efforts amply demonstrates this. The Hungarian people have been at the vanguard of all of these changes. We share with all Hungarians an immense pride in the progress that Hungary has made in the past 20 years. Through its courageous efforts, Hungarians have transformed this country into a mature democracy and allowed it to take its rightful place in Europe. This success, of course, was mostly due to the efforts of Hungarians, but we like to think that the United States' role was important and well in fostering freedom throughout Central and Eastern Europe. The friendship between the United States and Hungary was formed on a foundation of shared values and freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Today, the power of your example also provides a model for countries to Hungary's east and south that are building their democratic institutions. And so we in the United States take a special interest in the continuing development of Hungary's democracy. The project of democratization in some ways never ends. Maintaining a vibrant democracy requires for all countries constant vigilance and continuous efforts to protect liberties, ensure a vibrant opposition, and foster media freedom. Together, we share aspirations for a better world, and the United States is proud to count on the Hungarian people as a close partner in that effort. This partnership means that we are extremely pleased to see Hungary taking over, for the first time, the rotating presidency of the EU. The European Union is of critical importance to the United States and to its transatlantic agenda, and indeed to its efforts to bring stability and prosperity to the entire globe. The EU represents the collective potential of its 27 member states, who are among the most prosperous and militarily capable democracies on the planet. They are key partners, and as President Obama put it at the Lisbon summit, Europe is the cornerstone for our engagement with the rest of the world. On nearly every issue of importance to the United States, from the war in Afghanistan to the Iranian nuclear challenge, from the ongoing global economic troubles to relations with Russia, Europe and the European Union are our indispensable partners. We believe we are vastly stronger in terms of legitimacy, resources, and ideas when we join forces with Europe. The EU presidency means that for the next 6 months, Hungary will operate on a broader stage and assume greater responsibilities and greater global attention than is normally the case. It will necessarily mean greater scrutiny of Hungary's policies at home and abroad, a lot more work for its officials, but it also means Hungary has a unique opportunity to bring its experience and expertise to bear and to bring its priorities to the top of the European and transatlantic agendas. We can already see Hungary seizing the opportunity in the ambitious agenda the Hungarian government has laid out for its presidency. From our discussions over the past several months, we believe Hungary's presidency priorities will help advance U.S. goals and interests as well. That is not a surprise as we share so many common pursuits. I would like to mention a few of Hungary's priorities and how they fit with our own. We are pleased to start by the emphasis that Hungary is placing on the Eastern Partnership Initiative. This is an initiative that we have fully supported from its inception. We believe the enhanced political and economic relationships with the countries of the Eastern Partnership Initiative are important to the EU's future and to the stability and prosperity of a part of Europe that has often faced significant challenges. In 2010, the United States provided $311 million in assistance to the EPI region. We pledged $262 million over 5 years to Moldova in a new Millennium Challenge Compact, and completed the process of dispersing $1 billion to Georgia as part of the assistance to that country in the wake of the war of 2008. Our efforts are focused on support for democratic actors in civil society capacity, building economic growth and stability, promoting health and education, and bolstering peace and security in the region. These are goals that are very consistent with the 4 EPI platform areas, which are people-to-people contacts, governance and stability, economic integration, and energy. We hope, therefore, that the initiative that will provide additional funds and programs to the region, and that by closely coordinating our assistance, we can leverage our contributions and maximize our impact. For these reasons, we welcome the planned EU Eastern Partnership Initiative Summit in May and hope to be able to participate at a senior level. Together, the United States and the European Union can also have a decisive impact in this region. In fact, a test of that potential is presently before us in Belarus. We need to work together to make very clear to the government of Belarus and to Mr. Lukashenko that business as usual cannot go on so long as members of the opposition and peaceful protesters are detained. In these circumstances, that is to say their continued detention, we would be obliged to consider them political prisoners. Now, as you know, 2 years ago, the United States eased some sanctions against Belarus because of the release of political prisoners. We will be obliged to reimpose those sanctions if there's not a change in the coming days. The EU has even more levers at its disposal, and we are much more effective if we work together. Travel bans, for example, on Mr. Lukashenko and other responsible officials will have a greater effect if widely imposed. We hope that the EU will consider financial freezes and review Belarus's participation in the Eastern Partnership. Working together, we can send the message that if there's not a change in behavior very quickly, especially again regarding the detainees, there will be negative consequences for the government of Belarus. I know that we and the European Union and the people of Hungary stand with the people of Belarus and want to help them live in a free and democratic Europe, which is what they deserve. We also welcome Hungary's commitment to further the accession process, the EU accession process in the Western Balkans. As Secretary Clinton made clear during her visit to the Balkans in October, the United States is unfaltering in its commitment to the stability and development of the Western Balkans. The strongest possible motivator for enhanced progress in the Balkans region remains the prospect of EU membership, along with NATO membership. Of course, meeting requirements of membership is the responsibility for each candidate, and the decision to grant admission rests with the member states of the European Union. But the United States, as a friend of the European Union and with such a great stake in the Balkans, fully supports EU accession for the entire region, not only because it will contribute to a more stable region, but because it will contribute to the social and economic development of each country. We have focused our development assistance in the region on helping the countries to meet the key technical requirements of membership. We closely coordinate with Brussels in designing these policies, and we look forward to supporting Hungary in whatever way we can in its efforts to conclude the accession talks with Croatia and to give a greater membership perspective to the other countries in the region. We are also glad to see the emphasis that Hungary is putting on energy security and the development of a common EU energy policy. The United States has long been very active in this area. Together with the EU, we formed the US-EU Energy Council in 2009. As Secretary Clinton noted at the Council meeting in November, that effort has already accomplished a great deal. including working to secure new sources of natural gas for Europe by expanding cooperation with partners in the Middle East and Caspian region, and working with Ukraine as it tries to chart a path toward a more reliable partner for Europe. But clearly this is not just an external problem. As the Secretary pointed out at the Energy Council meeting, there is an extraordinary opportunity here for the United States and the EU to lead the world in developing a new and more efficient technologies that will provide a more secure and cleaner energy supply. To do so, we both need to ensure that our internal markets are interconnected, transparent, and competitive. The EU efforts to establish a common energy policy in the upcoming EU Energy Summit in February are important steps in that direction. We will continue to support the EU and EU leaders like Hungary in these efforts. Finally, we are very pleased to see the emphasis the Hungarian presidency is placing on the development of a European Roma policy. As Secretary Clinton said in April, protecting and promoting the human rights of Roma everywhere has long been a personal commitment for me, and under the Obama administration, it is a priority of the United States. Roma have been part of every wave of European migration to the United States. They have come seeking jobs and opportunities, religious freedom, refuge from war and conflict. They are part of the fabric of the United States. Unfortunately, ethnic minorities in the United States can also face prejudice and discrimination, as they do elsewhere. But it is the job of our government to combat prejudice, marginalization, and the exclusion of all persons, including Roma. These presidency priorities for Hungary, the Eastern Partnership, the Balkans, the energy issue, rights of Roma match up very much with our own, and it is by working together we believe we can help Hungary promote this agenda during its presidency of the EU. These are, of course, only a sample of Hungary's priorities and issues. The United States-Hungarian partnership has achieved a great deal in the past few years, and together we believe, with the rest of our common European partners, we have an extensive agenda that we will continue to pursue. It will clearly be a very active and busy winter and spring. This is only appropriate given the full US-Europe agenda and the many pressing challenges and opportunities that we have together. At the core of meeting these challenges is US-European cooperation. We look very much forward to working with the Hungarian presidency in all of these areas. And I look very much forward to your questions and comments. Thank you.